Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I'm going to show you right now is something that was breaking on CBS News today. It turns out that all the gun ballot initiatives that went forward failed. That's weird. It's almost like people don't want the gun control, and CBS brings on a gun controller to really make sense of the full-on rejection of their policies. No big deal. Anyway, everything will be linked into the description box below. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think, and please send this out because we must celebrate in their loss. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. We are spreading freedom from this side to that of this amazing nation, and thank you for that consideration. And speaking of consideration, while I set all this up, have you guys thought about the future of how you upgrade and you modify your own guns and actually turning that into a career from a hobby? Because Sonoran Desert Institute, or SDI, there's a link in the description box below. They offer courses on like armoring, gunsmithing, woodworking and finishes, ballistics. They have all sorts of stuff, drones. There's a way that you can turn that hobby that you love into a career that you love equally as much versus punching a clock where no one wants to do it. There's a description right down there below, so take a step into your future. Check it out. Thank you so much to them for making this possible. And now, let's get into this, people, because wow. All right. You know what? I'm just going to let this kind of speak for itself, but I want you to remember something while we go through this. Ballot Measure 114 was something that they put forward in Oregon, which was some of the most extreme gun control available through a ballot measure, which got struck down multiple times in multiple different courts, and it's still not enacted. All right? So that's where they've been in 2022, and now this is where they are now. Again, you're going to love this from the Daily Report with John Dickerson. That does not look like John Dickerson, but who cares? It's 2024. It can be whatever it wants. Let's go.
Recent CBS News polling shows that gun policy is one of the major factors likely voters are considering when voting for president. But on a state and local level, initiatives on gun policy are nearly non-existent on ballots. According to the nonpartisan nonprofit newsroom The Trace, Colorado is the only state with a gun-related initiative on its ballot this election year.
Okay, just gotta say something. Sorry, when they do stupid stuff, I have to call it out. The Trace is nonpartisan. It's a full-on gun control group. Anyway, let's keep going.
Despite the fact that initiatives were proposed in 6 other states for November, but ultimately failed to make the ballots. We're now joined by Jennifer Massia, a senior news writer at The Trace, who has extensively covered gun policy and community violence. Thank you for being here. I want to ask you, in your reporting, which states saw progressive gun measures like implementing red flag laws or universal background checks that failed to make the ballot, and why?
All the goodies.
So this year, considering gun policy is in our lives every day, I mean, it's just one report of a shooting after another, and there is strong support for stronger gun laws. But this cycle, we saw a number of attempts of gun rights measures to get on ballots, far more than gun reform measures.
Hold the phone. So not only did your gun control ballot initiatives like universal background checks and red flag laws get smoked and not get any love, but you saw more gun rights initiatives put on the ballots? Uh-oh, Raggy. Guys, you're making a difference. We grind every single day on this channel 2-3 times. We have Katie's channel, Stone Second Sense. We grind there too. We have me and Tim's channel, Second Legacy. There's all different levels of grind and different offerings for everybody. The bottom line is we're passing the Second Amendment on to the next generation. You guys are making a difference. Now, let's continue after we celebrated that little moment. Let's keep going from The Trace. Nonpartisan, by the way. Yeah, okay.
So we saw, and all of these failed. We saw in Missouri, several initiatives look to replace laws that had recently been stripped, like permitless carry, expanded background checks, the ability of cities to set their own gun laws, which is very important. A lot of cities do not have the power in this country to set gun laws that are stronger than what the state sets. So several initiatives in Missouri look to rectify that. All of them failed. None of them were able to get signatures by the deadline. We do have, though, 3 initiatives on the ballot in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, localities also do put gun reform measures on the ballot. The problem here is that there is a state law in Tennessee, like I just said, that localities cannot set their gun laws. So they're looking to put measures on the ballot that reinstate the concealed carry permit that was lost in 2021. Somebody can just carry a gun around with no permit and no training in Missouri, one of 30 states. And that conflicts with Tennessee state law. Now, the city council put.
All right, we'll come back to that in a second because we've covered that too. Remember, guys, everything that we cover, it's not in a vacuum. All of these things are tied together. That's the importance of making sure you guys are subscribed and your notification bell is on, because every little breadcrumb that we deliver turns out to the mother lode at times like this. It always works this way. That's why our nose is to the grindstone, like I mentioned. But understand what she just said. The lefties in Missouri were going to get rid of the constitutional carry. They were going to get rid of all the removals of the gun control laws, which we've seen falling like dominoes across the nation, thanks to the Bruin decision. And they didn't get enough signatures to even put on the ballot. They didn't even have enough support to get someone to write their name to get it onto a ballot measure. Understand, that's the tactic that they're taking, and they're getting stuffed. Then they go over to Memphis. By the way, Memphis in Tennessee, they have that whole, we're going to do what we want because we're Memphis and we're going to make this in light of the state election board. And then they've got preemption as well. This is the same place that we covered where they said they weren't going to get any tax dollars if they violated state law, and they backed over and they folded like cheap suits. Yeah, that's what we're talking about here. She's trying to put a silver lining on this. The bottom line is 30 different states are constitutional carry that don't require permits to own a gun, and they don't require mandated training to own and carry a gun because it's a constitutional right. There's no mandated training requirements on your ability to make a tweet or your First Amendment rights or to say whatever you want. Perfectly fine. But on a Second Amendment right, whoa, that one's different. You understand the obvious juxtaposition that they're putting forward and trying to sell you on? Now, the last thing I want to hit on, and then we're going to let her continue. This whole preemption thing, the laws on the books in these states that she's talking about are preemption laws, which means a locality cannot pass a law that's harder on gun rights than the state. Okay, so this, on a broader scale, this would be like independent states saying that full autos were perfectly legal within our state boundaries, and the national federal government would be like, nah, that's fine. National Firearms Act doesn't matter. The lefties would lose their freaking collective minds. But that's not the way that this works. Imagine going from city to city and having to know all the municipalities and gun laws. It would be a disaster, which is why it exists. But the lefties don't care. They want the gun control. Let's continue.
This on the ballot. The state AG basically called this a waste of time because eventually, and he's probably right, it's eventually going to get struck down in court. So,
yes, they are.
Interestingly, the gun rights measures that were proposed in several states also failed. And most of them are swing states, Michigan, Arizona. So it seems that there was very little success on any front this election cycle, which is rare. Usually there's at least one measure on the ballot.
And Jennifer, you mentioned more gun rights initiatives versus gun reform. Did those also fail because of a lack of signatures?
They did. This is a very high stakes election. So there were a lot of get out the vote efforts that may have just absorbed, these are all volunteer staffs that are collecting signatures. So it's very possible that they were absorbed into other efforts, and this just wasn't the year. There were several states, Colorado, Arizona, that sought to reinstate gun possession rights for people with medical marijuana cards because of federal law. You can't own a gun and be a marijuana user. And those are actually also not unpopular with progressives, those measures. Both of those failed. In Washington, several gun rights measures failed. Washington is a solidly blue state. But one would have prohibited a state registry of gun owners, which is very important to a lot of gun rights people. Another would have codified the right to buy guns for self-defense, and another would have repealed the semi-automatic rifle ban. And I spoke with the person who sponsored that one, and he said in solidly blue Washington, there were people who actually ripped petitions up in his face.
Wow.
It is politically unpalatable in some states, if you're a red state, to put forward gun reform proposals.
Okay, so now it's just dragging along, but here's the bottom line. They aren't getting the ballot support measures for gun control. They aren't getting the ballot support measures for gun rights because people want you to leave their gun rights alone. They've already got to hear about how Kamala Harris is going to save democracy while completely ignoring it, how Trump is the devil and he can't win even though he's looking pretty good right this second. That changes all the time. Make sure you vote. Just vote for the love. But honestly, guys, you have all these gun control measures failing, and they're trying to put a positive spin on it, saying like, no, but it's not just gun control, it's also gun rights. No one wants your gun control. That's why you have Kamala Harris coming out there saying we're going to repeal the filibuster for abortion, which is just going to so happen get us the gun control votes too. All of this stuff is tied together, but the bottom line, they don't have the support that they're trying to convince you that they do. That's what I've got for you guys. I can't wait to see you for the midday snack, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.